Thank you for those comments, Dr. Arnn. The first question is actually from Tricia from Madison, Mississippi, and she asks, can you give a definition of the pursuit of happiness and tell us what the Founding Fathers actually meant by it, and does it mean the same thing as property?
Huh, that's great. So, well, I wonder who that person is. Whoever that is, you're admitted. The reason you might ask if it's the same thing as property is because in the Virginia Bill of Rights, for example, passed a few days before the Declaration of Independence, they mention property in that place where they have pursuit of happiness in the Declaration. And that gives rise sometimes to the argument that by pursuit of happiness, they mean happiness is a relative term and there is no real definition of it. And that's foolishness because, first of all, happiness occurs again in the Declaration of Independence about 3 lines down, where it says people have a natural right to throw off an oppressive government and set up a new government which seems to them most likely to secure their safety and happiness. So happiness is a thing you could secure. And the classical teaching, and this is very well known to the founders, and it's also their teaching, it's in that quote that I used at the beginning from Washington in the first inaugural address, indissoluble union between virtue and happiness. Happiness is the human being doing well. And that means the human being living well, doing the right thing. Now, you can't have an entitlement to the government to that because you got to do a bunch of stuff. You know, some people are miserable when they're rich and at peace and comfortable. And some people think that the greatest experience they ever went through and the thing that was the defining and elevating thing in their lives was to spend 4 years in a German concentration camp. Right? Point is, there are qualities of soul that are different in one person to the next, and it is our business to develop our qualities of soul as best as we can. And I'll just add one more point to that, because the constitutional scheme of America, Madison says, is devised, he says in the 49th Federalist, to place our reason in control of the government and to have our passions be controlled by it. And that is, by the way, the exact and precise classical definition of the proper ordering of the soul. And of course, if it takes time to get something done in the government, and if there's more than one step, and if we can't just act immediately but only through representatives, and if there's 2 houses of Congress, and there's 3 branches of government, and there's federalism, it's all kind of complicated, and it means the stuff that gets done will tend to be stuff that's sustained over time. In other words, more reasonable stuff, and not just the flight of fancy at the moment. And so happiness requires the right to property for the reasons I've been explaining, and includes the right to property, and is a more comprehensive term.